5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello humans. With Halloween fast approaching, I thought I'd take this generic $2 mask and turn it into something special. So let's see what we can do. Going to start by taking it outside and going to use a gap filler, an expanding foam, and just going to spray it liberally all over the mask. It's pretty messy stuff, so make sure you've got protective coverings on your hands, gloves or whatever. You don't want to get it on your skin because it's quite sticky. Make sure you've got some sort of drop cloth down or paper or something, because you don't want to get it on any of your other surfaces. It does expand, so even though it doesn't look like much to begin with, in a couple of minutes it practically triples in size. Just being haphazard with this, so you're never really going to know what you get until it's properly dried, of course. So all a bit of an unknown element. Now we're inside, it's properly dried, it's all firmed up and hard, and I'm being very careful with this knife, just carving away the excess that I don't want and shaping it a bit more so it looks a little bit more like a face as opposed to a blob. Just be mindful when you're using sharp tools, you do not want to cut yourself. Carving away to try and make the nose more prominent, just cutting back on some of the lumpy bits to give it a bit more definition. Shaping the lips and the cheekbones, the forehead, just like sort of making it up as I go along or playing it by ear. Now it's time to use the toilet paper technique to create a skin over the surface of the mask. Here I'm using a mix of water and PVA glue and brushing it into the toilet paper. Because of its absorbent qualities, it's going to soak up the glue and the water solution. With the stippling technique, pushing it into the surface of the mask, creating a muted version, if you like, of the lumpy texture of the mask, giving the look of the face a different quality, smoothing it out in a lot of respects. The toilet paper has patinations through it, in this case lines, and you still see some of the lines in the paper remaining. If you don't like this look, you can always use a plain toilet paper and you won't have this problem. Now I'm using everyday home product called gap filler. It's paintable, acrylic, and I'm going to use this to simulate the gums in the mouth. This stuff, when it's dry, has a rubbery quality to it, so it's going to make it easy for me to be able to attach the teeth later. I'm making the teeth out of an empty fruit juice bottle. Being very careful again, I'm using a rather sharp scalpel here. So this will be ideal for making the teeth. It cuts quite easily with a pair of scissors. So you can shape it, cut it to the size you need, and then paint it. So with the gap filler dry on the gums, I'll be able to cut my teeth to size and then push the teeth in. Shaping the teeth, rounding them, very easy. And then the soft nature of the gap filler allows me to easily push or fix the teeth in position. Before I do that, I'm going to have to paint the mouth, because otherwise once the teeth are in place it'll be very difficult to get a brush in there. Just using acrylic paints, water-based paints, goes on quite easily. Painting the lips and the gums and the inside of the mouth using different colours, adding layers of lighter shades on top of dark, just to give it that depth and make it more interesting. Painting the teeth and then gluing them in with glue just to make them hold fast. Pretty easy really. So I've just painted the teeth white to make them a bit more opaque as opposed to the more transparent qualities of the plastic, and just to give them a bit of an evil grin. As far as the overall colour of the mask, I'm just going with a flesh tone and giving it an all over base coat, just stippling it in there, making it look more like skin, I suppose, although it's quite gnarly. Now I'm just painting some more details on some open wound areas, some fleshy areas that are exposed. I mean, it is a Halloween mask after all, so he's not meant to be pleasant to look at. A bit of a goofy monster. Creating some darker tones within the reds, just to give it depth and more texture again, highlighting these areas, stippling, blending, it's all part of the technique. Around the eye sockets as well, to replicate sort of fleshy undertones. Through the process of this project, I keep changing the overall colours of the mask. All this helps in creating different layers and levels, highlighting the textures. It's the beauty of painting something. You don't have to stay with one colour. You can add other layers on top. This technique brings out a lot of the different textures in the surface, and of course you can just keep putting overlayers as much as you want. teeth are too white. He's a bit of a goon, or a ghoul, so I've got to yellow his teeth down, making him look more menacing. Don't know of any scary creatures that have perfect white teeth. Decided to give him eyeballs, have them hanging out on his cheeks. He is a scary guy after all, so I'm using old roll-on deodorant balls. They're easy to come out. You just warm up the plastic and they pop out. Again, just giving some highlights to the skin, and this really shows off more of the texture. It's a common technique and also calms down the overall colourings. If you don't like something, if it's too strong in colour, you can simply paint over it to calm it down, mute it. Back to the eyeballs. After giving them a undercoat of white, I'm just painting the irises. Decided to go with the green, and then obviously the black pupil, and this will have a gloss finish to make it look more wet. Applying the gloss, it's just a clear gloss varnish, and to simulate chunky veins, I'm using red wool over the surface of the eyeball just to give it that horror look. Same clear varnish applied to the open sores or wounds on the mask to give them a wet, pussy look, if you like. Here's the finished product with the eyeballs hanging out from the eye sockets, and I think you'll agree that that's quite effective. It's always very pleasing to find stuff just lying around the house that works. Because it's a mask and I've got eyeballs hanging out, if I was to be wearing this, I wouldn't want to see my eyes behind the mask. So this mesh, just flywire screen, will help hide that feature and be more effective. I ended up gluing the eyeballs to the mask so they wouldn't flop around everywhere. They're fixed in place, and this is the finished look. So there you go, humans. I hope you got something out of this video. This was a bit of fun, just for the up and coming Halloween. Something you could probably just knock up at home, make it uniquely yours. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Enjoy the Halloween season. Here in Australia, it's not quite as prolific as it is in the States, but it's becoming more popular. You could wear this with a hoodie or whatever, just to add to the effect. Just make something your own. So this is Retro Rocket Man, over and out.